Okay. Yes. So we are here with Mr. Cuthbertson, Toadstool magazine.
Hello.
Two. It's this. Hello, he says. We are here to talk, and he's gonna have a drink. I think it's
As
middle of
always
the
on the
day.
stream. Yes, it is. It is quite early, but Brendan twisted my arm and made me
Well,
have a drink. So
I'm actually drinking coffee. I backed out. All I had to drink in the house was hard spirits. So I thought, fuck this. I'm not going to start drinking at 3 o'clock. It's fucking Sunday. I mean, I might yet before we're done. So I will drink coffee, and I will remain like in a state of perfect clarity, scalpel-like precision and clarity, while
as
you
always.
gradually get sloppy and fall to pieces.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm having a
This is my.
snowball. You know the Christmas cocktail, the festive cocktail, a snowball. So it is pretty weak. It's Advocar and lemonade. So
Oh, that is a good one. I like that. I
it's
like a bit
it's
of that Advocar.
it's delicious, man. A little bit of lemonade in there. It looks very nice, but
Is it? Yeah,
I don't think it's alcoholic enough for me to get actually sloppy. But
it's a
it
good
doesn't.
gnomish drink. Right. What was I going to say? So yeah, he's got a new issue of Toadstool magazine. Why don't you
Yes.
show everybody the cover and everything? So he wants to. There we
This
go.
is the brand new issue, back after much trials and tribulations, with websites going down and all of that stuff, and me being too busy to actually do anything about it. But we're all back with a new website and back with a new issue of the magazine, which is very exciting. Look at the lovely cover art done by my friend's wife. Absolutely beautiful. It's a perfect bound this time. There's no staples. We have dropped that staple bullshit. So this is the highest quality product we've put out so far.
Beautiful.
Yes, it's longer than usual. It's a bumper issue. Got like about 90 odd pages in there, whereas they're normally about 64. So yeah, there's lots to read through in the new issue. I implore you to buy it and let me know what you
And
think.
yeah, I'll make sure the links are in there for where they can get it off your website. What happened to your website? It went down. What was going on there?
Oh yes, lots of boring tech stuff that the little people of the forest don't really understand. And it took it took a while to get it back online. We don't even have it back online. I think my trouble was trying to resurrect the old one too much, like trying to
So
keep
what?
the
It
old
just
link and stuff.
the whole thing crashed utterly, completely, like in the back end.
So
And
the e-commerce provider, the people that sort of handle all the payments and things, they wanted to like sort of double, or I think it was even triple the fees.
who was it?
Uh,
Can I ask? Or who was it? Like WooCommerce or one of these things?
no, WooCommerce is good, man. This was Wix. I think I might have been on
Oh,
like a discounted rate or something, but then they, this is boring stuff, right? But they wanted to just charge so much that it would probably wipe the profits of the magazine and make it like a break even or maybe even loss making thing. So I was like, I either charge like loads more money for magazines, or I just do something else. So I did something else. New website, new issue of the magazine. Yeah, that's about it. So I do apologize. All of the things pointing you to the old website and the old magazines, I'll point you to somewhere that doesn't exist anymore. So that's annoying. But during any reprints or anything, I will be reprinting it with the new website links.
okay. Well,
Yeah,
great. I mean, at least
yeah,
you're back, still back in action. How many
yes.
issues is that now? How many? What issues is this? What number?
This is number 4. So issue 3 came out in the spring. So this is quite the gap, larger gap than I was intending. But we've made a bumper issue to make up for it.
Mm.
So there's plenty of stuff in here. You've got like stuff that was probably designed for the summer issue, but also plenty of Christmassy stuff in here too.
Yeah. Oh, and for anybody who doesn't know, and being introduced for the first time, it's all gnome-related content.
Yeah, it's like
Mr.
fantasy,
Cuthbertson.
fairy tale fiction with an emphasis on being gnome pilled. I will
Well,
try and
it could be poetry or nonfiction, anything, right? It has to be gnome-pilled.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's mostly fiction tales in this one, and a good bit of poetry. But we have this fantastic take the gnome pill art that you yourself did.
Yes, that's right. I remember your request. Yes, to make it like the Matrix, but
But a
it's a
gnome.
gnome.
Yeah, I was
It
I
is
had
nice
the
and
idea, and I
similar,
was like,
and
I know who can do this for me, definitely.
yeah. Well, I should do some more for you. I'd like to contribute more
Yes,
to
absolutely.
Toadstool. I like the idea of it. I mean, it's great, and you're
Yeah,
the only
it's good.
one doing such a thing, really. How did you even like get the idea that you wanted to be just gnome focused, gnome centric?
Um,
Is it just a
so I was
desire you've
talking
always had? Because
to
in other ways, you're kind of a harsh guy. You're writing these harsh, hardcore, fucking horror sci-fi stories and stuff.
Yes, I do write a lot of horror, and I probably enjoy the dark and nasty stuff more than anybody. But how did we get the idea? I was talking to my boy, Frostgaz. You might know him.
Yeah,
He's around in the scene. He submits stories everywhere and stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Forums and
I was
things.
talking to him today.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. I mean, me and him are pals. Like we met through the Bizarre Archives, obviously with Big Dave Martell's project.
yeah.
So we were published in some of the same Bizarre Archives issues, and I found out he's only in like Nottingham or something, which isn't that far away. So we've met up a couple of times. We went camping in the woods once and had like a solstice, and it was an equinox, bloat in the forest. It was based. We got pretty drunk and camped out in the woods and stuff. So yeah, we go back a bit now, and I was just talking to him about maybe doing something else. Yeah, maybe something a bit more fantasy focused, a bit brighter, a bit more like on a nature theme, if you like. And we just passed ideas back and forth until I was essentially like mocking up a magazine cover and wondering what this would look like. And I had a bunch of stories like that I've been writing anyway, on like a fairy tale thing. And I was like, this isn't really suitable for Bizarre Archives. Like, where's this going to be published? So it just came time to make this magazine. And before I knew it, and I put feelers out, I talked to you. I talked to people that I knew in the scene from all these different groups on Telegram that were in and stuff, and put together the first issue, and it was good. But yeah, ever since actually becoming a thing and publishing more issues, we get more and more submissions by more and more talented folk, and yeah, I've got a pretty good lineup in this issue.
Right, and like, who else is in it? Tell me who else is authored it. Is Frostgaz in it? So Frostgaz is almost like a co-creator in a sense, is he, or what?
Yeah, definitely. We birthed the idea together, for sure.
Like a married couple.
Yeah. It is 2023 after all. Yes, Frostgaz is in here. He has a tale about like sort of frogmen, like, but it's kind of like an ultra violence thing. It's almost it's a weird one, but most things that he writes are weird. But it's a lot of fun. It's about some like gangland frogman stuff, which gets into some ancestral themes. You know, he's like in like a cycle of rebirth where he has to hunt down these other orange frogmen, and it's pretty based. You will enjoy it.
So base, okay, that is good. So actually, one thing I don't really know about the magazine is, it like, do you have a target age group, or is it just like whoever? I'm sure it's whoever, but like, is it kiddie friendly as well? Like,
I would say it's kiddie friendly, and some people, we've had things in the past where like children like have actually submitted things, like, you know, people, readers get their kids to like draw pictures or write cute poems or something, and I've published them. So it is child friendly. There's a couple of it's violence basically. There's a couple of you know, stories where people are going to get, or like small woodland animals are going to chop each other up, like in Redwall. Like Redwall is a children's book series, and it's violent as hell.
Oh, so there used to be. Yeah. Back in the old days, all kid stuff was like pretty violent. And
yeah. So I know if you want to like baby your kids and not have them exposed to anything cool, then maybe it's not suitable for your kids, man. But
I have intentionally got out of my way to introduce them to as much scary and violent content. I actually overdid it with my one son, my second son, a little bit, because I know he did get freaked out. I showed him, what was it? I think it was The Thing, when he was a bit too young. To this day, he's terrified of if I even mention that movie. He's like, ugh. And he gets scared.
That would have done it for me. Like, I think I watched like The Sixth Sense or something when I was like, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old, and I was spooked as hell.
The Sixth what?
The Sixth Sense. Is
that the, what's that one?
Willis, I See Dead People one. Yeah. I was like,
right. That's
I got into like really spooky shit when I was a teenager. Obviously, I think everybody does, but you can't really handle it as a kid, can you? You don't really know like to distinguish reality from non-reality, and those shadows at the end of your bedroom and stuff. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah, you got to ease them into it.
Someone reached out and grabbed that guy, and I'm in the same situation. Like, I'm gonna get grabbed. So yeah, it's pretty intense for young ones, but there's no horror.
Yeah, there's not horror. Like, horror is another thing, but even introducing them to a little bit of violence and death, it's got to be done. It's very important. Like, all the old myths had tons of it. You know, any proper old story for kids, it wasn't afraid of using it a bit. Like, even like, you know, the real stories, Hansel and Gretel and all the rest, like, there'd be pretty harsh details in there. You know, cannibals and crazy.
Yeah, the children getting eaten and shit. Children getting abandoned by their parents and then like getting put in an oven and shit. Like, there's nothing like that in here. You know what I mean? No. I wouldn't put that in Toadstool.
Yeah, but everyone always whines about that. Like, oh, the violence, it's making violent people. Like, all the, you know,
Nah.
I don't know who whines, but single mothers in that maybe, or whatever, whoever whines about such things. And then they just take all the violence out and just put tons of sex in, and just
Yeah,
want to
exactly.
like,
Yeah, you won't
it's
find any of that
exactly
in here.
like
There's
maybe
maybe one or two risque references that MS Jones likes to drop, but you know, it's
MS
kind
Jones
of
does it.
go
Yeah.
over people's heads. If it's a 9-year-old reading it, they're not going to get it. It's
Well,
more
a bit
fun.
of sex is okay too, right?
Yeah,
Just
it's
not too much.
nothing graphic, like just the odd, you know.
No, like same-sex couples or bullshit.
Hell no, no.
Same-sex gnome couples.
It ain't that kind of magazine, man. That's not the kind of magazine I'm aiming to put out. There's other places you can go for that, I'm sure.
No, gnome related LGBT content. That would be something.
Oh, that'll be
Something dreadful. I mean, Jesus
yes,
Christ.
like a rival magazine.
A rival magazine.
Rainbow Toadstool or something. Yeah.
The anti-Toadstool, yeah.
Yeah, no, none of that. But yes, MS Jones is in here too. I know a lot of people like his stories from his archives. He's like a pretty accomplished fantasy author, and his stories are always great. He writes like these recurring sort of gnome characters that always get up to some sort of trouble. And in this one, it's kind of a spin on the Shadow over Innsmouth. You know,
right.
yes, but it's kind of anti Shadow over Innsmouth. Like he goes to a village that he knows is supposed to be weird and full of strange fantasy creatures, and finds out that it's actually, you know, sort of being taken over by like creepy corporate normie like human stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's a good spin, man. It's really funny as well. Like he's got so many jokes that he peppers throughout his stories, so that's good. I'm in here obviously with the Rua the Red character, which is kind of I'm not gonna lie, a Redwall has inspired me heavily. Like a woodland critter violence.
Right.
So that's a red squirrel that is trying to fight back against the invasion of grey squirrels, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we have some nice art for this one.
Oh, very good. Who did that?
Squirrel stuff.
Who did the art?
We know a few people.
Oh, you don't want to say? Okay, right.
Nudge.
Nudge,
yes,
nudge,
this is
right.
great.
Okay.
This is great. I really enjoyed writing this one. So these stories in the past issues have been quite short, like sort of fewer than 2,000 words, just about a squirrel hopping around and getting into scuffles with grey squirrels while he looks for more red squirrels.
Right,
in this one, it's more epic. It's sort of feature length. It's 2 or 3 times the length of the previous ones, and it's called The Siege of Squirreless Oak. So Squirreless Oak is like the base of the red squirrels in this wood, and it comes under siege by a massive force of grey squirrels. And it's epic. It's just, you know, lots and lots of words of how this siege progresses and the pushback.
Yeah.
He was in at what point, you know, like it's great stuff. Enjoyers of Helm's Deep in the Lord of the Rings films and stuff will find something to enjoy there, I'm sure.
Yeah. No, that sounds good. What else? Is there anything else you didn't? Any other authors?
Yeah, that's
Or those are the main ones. You want to cover the main ones?
What else we got? So that's me, MS Jones. We have Summer Spirits Lost by AJ Bell. So he's written.
All right, AJ. Yeah.
Yeah, you know him. You know.
Yep.
It's all our boys. So
it's all the same guys.
It's our boys. We do have a few new people in here, but yes, he writes beautiful stories, and I think the story he wrote for the second issue about a cat is a favorite in the magazine. Everyone loves that story. It's about a cat who befriends a gnome and has to fight like raccoons and stuff.
Oh, excellent! It
it is excellent. So he's written that one. It's kind of a slightly darker, like coming of age tale about well, I'll not spoil too much of it because it's not that long, that story. So I don't want to give the whole thing away, but it's a beautiful story.
Hey, there's something here I've just seen sitting here. I haven't seen it for ages. I was wondering where it was. You'd appreciate this. It's almost on the topic. A little wood carving of an owl I made ages ago with his little head goes.
Oh, he's got a little spinny head and everything.
It's like the guy from. I was actually going to paint it gold, so it was like gold and silver. So like the little owl robot from what is it? Clash of the Titans.
Oh man, that's cool.
Yeah, it's all right. I forgot about this. It was just sitting there.
You should do small wood carvings. I'll sell them on the Toadstool shop.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're doing merch now as well. You can go and buy some mugs and things. So
mugs you made, like, or mugs you.
Yeah, that's like Toadstool branded merch stuff, and But yeah, I am looking for more things to sell.
You'd never. Well, I mean, it takes. I mean, just doing that owl took like 1,000,000 years. So there's no
Yeah, yeah.
way the actual value versus like no one's going to pay more than €10 for that to begin with. So fuck that.
That is the problem, isn't it? Like this stuff
That
that takes like 400 hours to make is actually
Yeah.
nobody's paying
I
for
still
one.
remember that. I got some nice wooden spoons. I've told this before, but anyways, it doesn't matter. Like off this craftsman who makes a little, like carves a little wooden spoon for you with a knife, and then and how do you pronounce it? And adds ADZE. I don't know how you even pronounce it. AIDS.
I guess AIDS.
Whatever. He carves a little spoon. He'll do it in front. He'll do it in front of you, but it still takes like a bit of time, and it's beautiful. And it's like no one's going to pay more than maybe €15 for this spoon. It takes them a few hours, and a beautiful, thing. And I was like, how do people in the, like, he's like, you have to do it for the love of it now. It's just a craft thing, and like, it's not, you're not going to like obviously make a ton of money doing it because it's got to be done by hand, etc. And I was like, how do people in the past do it, get away with this more? And he was just like, well, the cost of living was so much lower that it just seems like everybody was able to live more easily, and you could had more time for this crafty stuff, and it would be worth your time. So somehow you could make a spoon like that, spend a couple hours, charge only $5, and still somehow it's worth your time. The whole thing is just all of that is out the window. All those little crafty things, and you have to do it just like you're doing the magazine, just like Toadstool or Aegeon. Although we do make money off it, but like we don't make a ton. We don't make as much as we should. Let's say so. It's more of like a love of the craft. We do it for, right?
Yeah. This is for the record, this is not my career. I would be
yeah, mine either. Yeah,
I wouldn't be sitting in a house right now if this was the only thing I had coming in for money, basically. But yeah, it's sometimes it's just nice to see like a bit of money come in sometimes from something that you did,
Yeah.
But yeah, it ain't much, put it that way. But like, yeah, I would love to have like exclusively handcrafted wooden stuff like furniture, implements. But like, who's got the money for that now? It's like, where exactly people that hate the plastification and mass production of everything, right? Like we hate that shit, but what are we, millionaires? We're not millionaires. Like we have to buy this stuff. You know what I mean? Like if I need a sofa or something, it's gonna be a cheap one.
Yeah, or you're gonna make it. Yeah, it's gonna be a cheap one. Yeah, I know. Yeah, and you have to go out of your way. And like I wanted to get a sofa that was all like natural, like not plastic covered and all that. And that's even harder and more expensive.
Sky's the limit. Yeah, £10,000 or something for something like that. Like
I don't know, thousands, anyways. Yeah, I had to get a new one not that long ago. I was like, oh fuck, so much money. But like whatever. Now you can make furniture as well and spend the time. It's worth it to make it actually, but then it just looks like you're living a permanent rustic farmhouse, which is fine. But if you're trying to pretend you're a normal person, I don't know. You have to do things. You can't do everything eccentrically. Not everything, but if you could produce Toadstool more, if you could come out with Toadstool more frequently, you could somehow by some magical. If we weren't also all censored or just generally like not in the favor of the mainstream or whatever, if there was some way to get more broad advertising, you could maybe make a career of it. I know that Dave still has some hopes of becoming a millionaire with Bizarre Archives. I don't know what the chances are of that, but
I think
he's still holding up.
Millionaire might be a bit far, but we'll see. I think
yeah.
We'll not divulge into the politics too much, but I think there's sort of
well, even not the politics. Even not the politics. I wouldn't say it's even necessarily the politics. You just have to be connected in a marketing media sense. Like you have to have some kind of connection.
Yes.
Right.
I just think a lot of people are genuinely a little bit sick of what is available in a bookshop, for example, like Waterstones. Because it's crap. But I just don't think people know what else is out there. I mean, people are still writing based incredible stuff, but like you just can't buy it in Waterstones. But I think its days are numbered. You know what I mean? There's only so much like N.K. Jemisin someone can get excited about, and it's pretty much none. So like, yeah.
I don't even know who that is. What does N.K. Jemisin do? Horror?
It's the sci-fi black woman who has won more Hugo and Nebula awards than anybody. Like even.
Oh Jesus Christ! Okay, right.
Well, we'll have a look. I'll paste you some of her reading.
I don't even. Yeah, I'm sure it's just whatever.
Okay, it's award winning, mate. You know what I mean?
The awards, yeah, well
earned. Body sanctioned by respected institutions. It's fucking.
Bigger than Asimov or Herbert. Yeah, best of all time.
David only won like one, didn't he? Like God.
Yeah.
Terrible, but yes. Back to this. We have this is a new author that we have. This is Clobber and Carl and the Christmas Eve Slaughter. So this is about some
Well, that
gnomes.
sounds doesn't sound so kiddie friendly. That one.
Oh, it's fantastic!
Christmas Eve
It's
stuff.
about some like Christmas gnomes, but they're like all kind of in military ranks and stuff, which I think is fantastic. And some, I think the dad of the house is like getting something out of the loft or the garage or something, and awakens like a stink bug infestation.
Jesus.
So these gnomes have to fight goblins in the house, and the goblins have teamed up with the stink bugs, and it's like this big sort of warfare thing. And yes, they may or may not get a cat involved. It's fantastic. It's very whimsical, very Christmassy. The whole setting of this story is like Christmas Day, basically. It's fantastic. Or Christmas Eve. Sorry, not Christmas Day.
Okay.
But it is very good fun, and we have some nice art for that one too. That's worth a read, and I think he's quite happy to be published in here. I'm happy to have him, so I hope to see more from Tom Simpson. This one, another like kind of Christmassy take. It's sort of a Prussian hussar take on the Nutcracker.
Okay. Good.
Yes,
good.
this guy's you probably know this guy as well. He's goes by VF Wit, but I think he goes by like a pseudonym Acromus.
Okay. I don't.
Abrams. He's an artist and a writer, obviously. So this story, this is a piece of art that he did for his own story.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the
Very good.
little lad looking up at the like sort of hussar Nutcracker
Right.
figure on the mantelpiece.
Right.
So
Very
this is slightly darker at the start. I mean, if you know the story of the Nutcracker, you know like it
Mhm.
doesn't start off too well.
Yeah.
But it comes around to a very heartwarming sort of midsection and ending, and that's
Well,
lovely.
that's lovely, isn't it? Isn't that
And
great?
history nerds will geek out over it as well, because like it's Prussian sort of. I mean, the thing that comes to life is a Prussian hussar with all of the gear, all of the regalia. So it's fantastic, and I think he has
Regalia. Does it matter? Regalia. Although, yeah, no one says regalia, do they?
Yeah.
Potato. But no one says potato.
Yeah, so that's that, and then there's, to bring it to the last one, is Frostgaz's Frog Ultraviolence tale. So
Right.
yeah, that's fun. And then we have a bunch of poems and stuff in here. We have the Gnome Pill, which is where readers write in with their experiences of the supernatural and the fairy.
You know what I was wondering is when did the whole phenomenon of people having gnomes in their garden, when did that start? Was that like recent or was that like a timeless thing? Do you know? Probably started in Sweden like 200 years ago or something, or maybe not.
It's hundreds of years old, really. Like I think there's a region of Germany as well. Don't ask me which region it is, but there's I've had them just as kind of like earth spirits, if you like just watching the garden kind of thing. And yeah, you have the whole Scandinavian legends around Tomte and Nis and stuff like that.
Yeah, like because in the Norse it was the gnomes. In the Norse myth, it was the gnomes, not really the dwarves. The gnomes were the ones that built these magical weapons and lived underground, and sometimes the two get mixed up. But it was gnome. I remember it was specifically gnomes, and the dwarves were something. Dwarves were more like another word for an elf in some ways in the ancient. I think. Am I right? I don't know. I know the stories of what's his name, Oberon. Always either refer to he can be either a dwarf or an elf, as depending on the story, and they can interchange, and it didn't seem to matter too much.
Yes,
how to do that.
I'd say the true translation between each one is probably lost to time. What kind of historians here, aren't we, like piecing it together from old fairy tales and stuff?
So you stick to a more sort of a current definition of what a gnome would be, which would be the smaller variety, red-hatted, lives underground.
That's me.
What are they? Yeah, there you are. Yeah, it's very obvious. Bearded, white beard. And yeah, I mean, how does people think of gnomes? I guess is what are they supposed to be? Good luck, a little magical guy that appears. And I know if you're in Sweden, aren't you supposed to leave? Like gnomes can actually bring you bad luck if you don't leave an offering in the barn or some fucking thing.
Yes, yeah, that's a famous tale. We have in the last year's Christmas issue, we had sort of tales about that, and like a little, well, just sort of like a 2-page article on this. I can't remember what it's called, like Julegrot or something, which is the Christmas porridge. And you have to leave. I think if you don't, you have to leave a bowl of porridge out, and if you don't leave like a healthy slab of butter on there, it's like a sign of disrespect.
Mm-hmm.
And the following year, your house is going to have be befallen by loads of mischief, things go missing, rats. So yeah, they were kind of like house spirits that you would thank for keeping everything together throughout the year, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Making sure everything was tip top and in good shape. and if you piss the gnome off at Christmas time by not giving him enough butter, he will do you a mischief the rest of the year. Yeah.
Jesus, enough butter. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they don't. It's like a variation of like the fairies here, I guess. They wouldn't really in Irish myths. It wouldn't be gnomes.
Yeah, they had the
Everybody says the fairies.
yes,
And
the fairies.
they just count. They're like they can be anything and everything. It seems like some kind of ghostly, malevolent changeling type force, or just little cutesy guys that you take your honey and your flowers and
Yes,
put the morning dew on their face or something.
Yeah,
Could be
the Irish Celtic fairy tales that these are, I don't know, dangerous. These are people you really don't want to mess with. You know what I mean? These.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to think of like names of tales or anything, but like you do have lots of taking babies and sort of getting mystified in the middle of the night if you stroll onto their turf. If you piss them off by chopping down a certain tree or something, like you're basically.
And you know what? The ways that you detect a changeling were pretty amazing too. There was you had to like. What was it? They used to say if you touch them with iron was the basic one, but there's other ones like they had to like make them jump over a fire and then hit them with a shovel or something. Like, is he a changeling? But basically, like back in the day, I think someone as recently as in the 19th century, there was accusation of someone was a changeling, and I think they might have even hung him. So it was a real fucking thing.
Yeah,
and I guess I would argue whether or not it's a real phenomenon, let's say, but certainly if someone started acting strangely for any reason, they could be in a lot of trouble.
Yes, absolutely.
If they were acting out of character in the past.
That's if you can find these interviews and stuff on YouTube of like I think they would have been done in like the 60s or the 70s, like old people then, and so they'll be dead now, like God rest their souls. But like really old people in the 60s and 70s who still fully believed, you know what I mean? As there's still certain places in the country they wouldn't go. There's places they won't go at certain times of year.
So that wasn't an English one, was it? Was there changelings in English? Was that any part of it? Not really.
Well, this is where it gets blurred. There will have been, there absolutely will have been, but I think the Celtic, just in Ireland, basically, was taken a lot more seriously. And
yeah.
well, it would have been in England, but like longer ago, if you like.
Do you have you must know? What's like some of the craziest of the English myths that you know about? I like some of the weird ones like Spring Heel Jack and that. That would be something to have good.
Yeah. I like Tam Lin. I just went to see the band Steel Eye Span.
Yeah, they're great. Are they still around?
Yeah. Somehow.
No, really?
Maddie Pryor is 76 years old, but she's still got it, man. She still rocks out. It was good. So I went to see them a few weeks ago, and they played Tamlin. It's like based on the Ballad of Tamlin. Who's this is a guy that I think comes from up in the Scottish borders. Obviously Tam, which is like the Scottish rendition of Tom. He like falls asleep, and no, I think he's kidnapped by the fairy queen. And on Halloween, they make a procession into hell, and they're going to drag Tamlin down into hell. And there's like a woman who falls asleep outside on the heath, and Tam comes to plead for her to come and grab him when he's in the procession on his way to hell.
And that's
so they obviously.
Tell me the rest of the story. I forget.
Well, basically this woman does come in the middle of the night on Halloween and like sort of grabs onto Tamlin when he's being led on the horse by the Queen of Fairies in like a massive procession of trooping fairies, and tries to drag him off the horse, and then like he sort of changes shape a bunch of times, like, and the guy says like, listen, I'm probably going to change shape into a bunch of demons and stuff, and you just have to let go and cling on. And she does, and he transforms into all sorts of horrible things, which is obviously an illusion by the Queen of Fairies, and then eventually drags him off the horse. And then the Queen of Fairies can't pay her tribute to hell, and Tamlin is saved. This wild.
Yeah,
wild stuff.
There's a lot of those ones that are those folk songs, folk stories that are cool because they are on the barriers between the paganism and Christianity.
Yes, absolutely.
And all those kind of stories, because they're scary, because there'll be a lot of like get hell and ghosts and threats of this kind of thing, basically, but also these pagan supernatural entities, and it's all it makes it even spookier and weirder.
It does, yeah. Yes, you can tell a lot of these. I mean, it's been done to death a million times, hasn't it? But a lot of these Christian, like early, especially in the West, like Western early Christian myths and fairy tales and stuff are just the pagan stuff that was there thousands of years ago with a bit of Jesus slapped on top of it. Basically, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. Yes, a bit of Jesus left on top. Well, there's so many things I like.
So this story would have been thousands of years old, really, and it wouldn't have been the Abrahamic version of hell that he was being dragged off to, but it would have been somewhere nasty. You know what I mean? Some sort of underworld that you didn't want to be in as a mortal man.
But they had so many, especially in England, there's so many weird, ways those were combined, and like the actual depth of the folktales. I mean, here too, but I think you're a bit bigger over there, and things were more. You had a bit more also changeover between invading groups and types of cultures, and you were a bit more seeded by different influences and things.
Yes,
like all those churches that have like wood roses and green men and really pagan stuff, like in the carvings in the
tons of them
actual
have a green man in them somewhere. Yeah, like a cheeky little green man in the roof or something. Like, yeah, absolutely.
Or like some little guy like cheekily like showing off his balls and like jerking off or something. really unchristian
gargoyle like trying to
showing off his ass or something.
Yes, yeah.
Or like just funny shit like that.
These ones are around everywhere. Around like Westminster Abbey and places like this, you can find cheeky little gargoyles doing things that are very unbecoming of the Christian church. But
yeah. And there was all these like I just think I'm always continually even hearing about myths I wasn't aware of. Like I think it was Pentangle has a song. Is it called House Carpenter? About a house carpenter? Or it's in the chorus or the lyrics, anyways. But it's the house carpenter is actually a means the devil. Somehow or some reason, it's like some way of referring to the devil was as a house carpenter. I don't know why. This is like bizarre shit like that. It's cool.
Yeah, there's tons of I've got like big books of sort of Scandinavian fairy tales downstairs and stuff, and there's a really old one about like the devil and like a forge worker and like a forge worker's assistant and things like this. I can't even remember how that tale goes because it's been so long since I read it. But yeah, he was there, and seems to be something about like forging and making things and letting devilish influences in or not.
Maybe just sort of like a Hephaestus kind of figure. Hephaestus, whatever you say, it's sort of like a underground volcanic maker of things or something. Maybe that was the weird cross there. I don't know.
Yeah,
but like things that and people behaving in like entirely unchristian ways, killing who they wanted and just doing what they want, but it was still like I don't know. It was such a weird thing. Like things were never as really as completely. You could argue. Maybe I'm saying this wrong. You could say like today things are more Christian than they ever were in the height of the medieval period, even though they were so serious about it. But in terms of people's actual values and stuff, like truly they've imbibed with sort of forgiveness, equality stuff today to the point of being so pacifistic that they're kind of just they're worse than the dodo, like just creeping out to dull. They just kill me now. I'm too stupid to live. But maybe that's arguably not proper Christian values. Maybe I don't mean to.
It's interesting religion in the way that I think it can. There's so many broad strokes in Christianity. Like there's the forgiveness and peace stuff, but there is also calls to like murder people who aren't Christian. All in the same book. It's more about like how you want to shape the Christian society at the time. You can like magnify certain aspects and downplay certain others. Back in the day, it would have been magnifying the like put you to death if you don't get baptized thing, and downplaying all of the like, hey, everyone's actually fine, and we just need to be friends. Now it's let's welcome these outsiders and give them everything because peace and love and hippie stuff and violence is unthinkable and things like this. So like there's ways and means.
Examine my homosexual pastor and who, this kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't mean to rag. I know we've got some Christian bros. I don't mean to rag on it, but I think
me neither. I don't either. But
it's not really being represented properly.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's something else. It's become something else in the broader sense. But like most of those ones alive today would not tolerate or understand the medieval era that was so you think of as being like feudal Christian, hardcore, theocratic society. Now, those same Christians today would not tolerate those stories of little imps and house carpenters and wood roses and crazy pagan things. They'd be like, "Oh, you can't," and like spells and wizards and things that were sort of allowed and in the culture and not considered unchristian, I guess, because they're in so many of the tales.
The harvest festivals and solstices and equinoxes and stuff. This is all very pagan.
Yeah, they kept that going. Like today, Christians would not. Most Christians would just not have anything to do with any of that.
Most people don't like. Not
Most
many
people
people
generally,
even
yeah.
give a shit that it's the equinox. To be honest, you know, they might notice because the clocks go back and forward because of daylight saving time or something, but like they're not really
Yeah.
bothered
True.
about any of that stuff. So it's in that way, it's more Christian than ever, and like the pagan traditions are sort of more underground than they ever were. I
Yeah.
think, as you say, even during that hardcore Christian era of putting people to the sword and torturing people and stuff, like you weren't going to stop the village fair. You know what I mean? The village summer solstice fair, like that was going ahead, regardless
Yeah.
of whether you cooked everybody on a spit. Like they were fucking
There'd be
gonna,
like a young naked woman being dumped into the big barrel
yeah,
of water and all that, like a young hottie, all these
yeah,
all these things.
yes, young men fighting each other over a bonfire to
Yeah, like
establish.
imagine the Inquisition. Imagine like torturing witches and like torturing and killing people en masse under these accusations and things, like and without hesitation, like without any, I don't know.
Would have
How
been
can
very
you?
busy.
So in terms of today, though, the only people, as you say, really celebrating these holidays and things is us
Us
and a bunch
and
of
the
us and a bunch of fucking dirty hippies.
I was just about to say the Wiccans and things, they'll be into it, like, but
Okay, I
I
saw
had
you
a,
take a drink there. I saw you take a drink, and I've had enough. I'm gonna go actually throw some Baileys or something into my coffee. I can cut this out later. I'll just have, unless you got something to say. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay.
okay.
You can talk or
On
not
the off
talk. If you don't
chance,
talk, I'll cut it out. Who cares?
on the off chance that Brendan doesn't cut this, what else do we got in here? We have some lovely art, just full page art, lovely stuff. I'm not going to show you too much more because you can just freeze frame the video and read the stories and stuff at this point. I'm showing you everything. But yes, we have had some wonderful art submissions as always. Some lovely poetry. That's the one by Froskas there. No freeze framing. This isn't a library, But yes, who did these pieces of art again? I always forget the name. I think it's Lily Green. She submitted art last time of people familiar with Toadstool. I think it's in the 3rd issue. There's Frody the Crow Slayer, which has some lovely full page art of like a gnome fighting a big crow in a nest. So she's submitted a bunch of full page art, which has basically all made it in because she's fantastic. So thank you very much to her. We have advertising my own merch in my own magazine because of course I am. So
Oh yeah, good man.
buy that.
Man, this is a stiff and festive drink. I'll tell you that. Holy shit.
Just Bailey's.
Oh no, I threw something else in there too.
Lovely.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
I have the rest of my Advocar here, or sorry, my off-brand egg liqueur. Looks
Avocado.
rough,
Yeah, I love
doesn't it?
that.
It's actually pretty tasty.
It's great. Yeah, I love a bit of that.
Yeah, I would get warnings, but I was in Lidl. They don't have warnings.
What do you mean? Warnings about what?
Warnings is that the brand of Advocar that everybody would know, like the bright nuclear yellow shit with the red text on the bottle.
Yeah.
It's like what most people would think of when you say Advocar. So this is like some off-brand stuff, but it's still tasty. It's egg liqueur,
It's not something you see many people drinking or even knowing about. I thought I was alone in my holiday love for this drink. I'd forgotten about it.
It's I only buy that at Christmas, really. And I know somebody that used to stack shelves in like Sainsbury's, a supermarket, and saying like they'll have the same bottle of Advocar on the shelf like all year, and then in December everybody goes fucking nuts for it, and people only want Advocar, and everyone's asking where's the Advocar and stuff. But yeah.
So this is like avocado is the original version of eggnog, probably. The Americans love the eggnog.
I've never drank eggnog, and I'm curious because I like eggy things. What is it? Is it more like is it lower percentage? Is it like beer or something?
Oh, you can make it as strong as you want, but it's similar to avocado. Yeah, it's sort of like an eggy, sloppy drink, sweet.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, if you drink a lot of it, I remember like as a youth at Christmas time, drinking drinking it till I got sick. I mean, it's easy to get sick on because it's so, thick and eggy and stuff. But
Lovely.
yeah, no, it's nice. It's similar, but avocado's just as good. It's kind of the same thing, maybe even better actually. Avocado's a bit more sophisticated.
Yes, absolutely. I never see eggnogs on the shelf over here. I would definitely drink it.
Yeah.
But Advocar's a thing, so I'll have that. It's good straight as well, but adding a little splash of lemonade in there does enliven it somewhat. So yes,
Oh, yeah.
eating Christmas snowballs at 4 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon. Life's pretty good, man.
Christmas snowball. It's not Christmas yet. We got another. Well, how long before like everyone's off and everything? What's the date? I'm not even.
I'm off a lot in December because I had loads of days off at work to use up before the end of the year. So I'm barely in December.
All right.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah, you were talking about how we can't make a living out of this other stuff, but you can almost. If we had a few breakthroughs, like I do make. I don't make anything like a living, but I can make enough to sort of consider it worthwhile. And if I could get them produced more often and stuff, it would be even better. But really, though, there's more. The other thing I wrestle with is there's more money in writing nonfiction. There's more. You can get way more sales and get more attention and stuff doing nonfiction. Like, so fiction again has got to be like a love thing, like just the love of it as well. And I do love it. I think it's important, and you got it like as you do, and everyone who's trying to contributes, and all the same guys we know that like get involved in all the same things.
Yes, you have to love actually writing. Like that's my advice to anybody who wanted to get into this stuff because they want to have a portfolio of books and make loads of money is like not don't, but like you need to actually sit down and see what writing is like for a year or something, and actually spend your spare time doing it. You're not going to have it as a career, basically.
No.
So you're all going to have to work or something, or do what you normally do for 40 hours a week, and then when your friends want to go out at the weekend or some shit like this, you're going to have to say like, no, actually I'm busy, and sit there by yourself and write stories for like thousands of words. Like that's what it's like.
There's a lot of work like that. Yeah. See,
I've stacked off a lot of social obligations and things like that just because I wanted to write that day, and your evenings and stuff. If you do something intellectually taxing or physically taxing for work in the day, then you have hours in the evening to write stories. But are you going to want to? You have to really want to, And then yes, at the end of it, there's not really much money in it. So you have to really, really love doing it, and you have to really want to tell these stories and stuff. So for me, it's an obligation now. I can't not. Like I have to tell these stories, like Count Corridor and stuff in the Bizarre Archives. Like that needs to come out. That needs to come out of me. So I would feel bad if I didn't write that stuff.
Yeah, you got to get it out, and you got people appreciate it, and it's good. Yeah, but there is
have even a small following, or even if 10 people tell you, man, that was a good story and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
then it's fantastic, and you're on your way. But yes, probably are going to have to spend those unfortunate, could be 1 year or something, it could be 5 years of having basically nobody read your stuff and have no feedback. And but yeah,
I was okay right from the start because I had the other book and I had to follow. It was weird to switch to science fiction. I don't get as much of a following on the science fiction or as much readers, but get enough, and I get more all the time, so that's fine. Like it is enough. The main thing, I do get more sales than ever, but then they hit us with the inflation. Oh, you don't sell through Amazon. Amazon hit us with their new inflation cut of their percentage of your royalties, so that sucked. I
couldn't make this work on Amazon. I think they do have a thing like a print-on-demand magazine thing, but I was making pennies on an issue, and that was before all this. Like this was back in 2022, and I was looking at ways to do this.
Yeah.
Amazon wasn't an option. I don't like using Amazon anyway. Nobody does really, but like it's a necessary evil.
Well, it's handy. Yeah, it is handy. Yeah, because I get it like
it's like full. It's full A4. It's full color all the way through every single page.
Well, doing it full color is the thing. That's why I wish I could do a full color AGM, but I would not choose to do that. There's no way I'd make money doing a full color one. I'd have to charge so much.
You would have to print them yourself. So this is what I do. I'm this is not print on demand. Basically, I have to approach a printer, get a quote, and try and look for the most competitive quote. But then now I've taken to not really looking for competitive quotes because I know I get solid results from these one printers. So I just use them. I have to fork over, hundreds of pounds, and just hope that they sell. So yeah,
it's worthwhile to do. We make enough to make it worthwhile, and I think we are doing something that in the future, like we'll be seen as sort of a mini classic era culty thing that you can look into and like get some, it's good stuff. I think
it's definitely it's easy to romanticize it, and I like that. It is kind of romantic. It's just doing it for the love. Like we're not backed by anybody major.
It was the same story for all the original guys, all the original Weird Tales type guys. They probably really were very similar. They probably made fuck all. I know Lovecraft made nothing, and Herbert they made nothing.
Yeah, Lovecraft died
Struggled.
destitute and poor. Yeah, you have to do this for
Yeah.
the love. But I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not like a commercialized enterprise. Basically, I mean, you can look at a lot of things and be quite cynical about them. You know what I mean? Like some book or some TV series that makes it big or something.
Yeah.
You might enjoy it, but it's easy to look at it and say, yeah, just some bigwig funded this, bankrolled it. You know what I mean? And you might look into who this person actually is, and it turns out there might be a bit of an industry plant because their father is the head of a publishing house. Stuff like this. My girlfriend was reading a book. I can't remember what it was, but she was looking at the little author bio on the back, and she was like, the author of this book was something like 26 years old, and this was her like second best-selling book. And we were like, how? Well, like, how? Honestly, like, power to that girl and stuff. Like, she must be a really good author, man. Like,
Well,
and all
if
this
you're a
stuff.
woman or something, you
Work,
automatically get a
turns out,
certain. If you're a woman or
yeah.
something like that, you'll automatically get some kind of.
Well, her dad's on the board at like fucking Penguin House or something. You're like,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Of course, yeah. It's always the
Yeah.
same shit. But like, at least we're doing something that is sort of immediately classic, and we're doing it our way. So, and we're happy with it, and proud of it, and it's better than anything we're going to get paid to do otherwise. And we are making some money. I mean, you can make it. There's some money. It's fine.
Yeah, I think someone might be knocking at my door, so I'm just going to be back in a sec. Okay.
Oh yeah, no problem.
You have to entertain the crowd by yourself.
No, I had to do that before. That's right, crowd. You sons of bitches. Yeah, it is worthwhile. I wouldn't want to put anybody off trying to do the same thing because there is some money, but you have to be situated to be able to spend time and not be too worried about it. I'm maybe different than Cuthbert's in that I've worked from home for a long time and I can make spare time for things in crazy ways whenever I do have time. I'm always doing things on contract work anyway, so I just skip back and forth between doing contract jobs, working on something like Aegeon or even other books, shit posting, and other stupid shit. So I just leap back and forth all day long, and in between actually other things as well, like minding kids and whatever. So it's just a mashup for me, but I have more kind of free time to jump around and focus on things than maybe someone who like Cuthbertson, who probably, I think he said he has to work 40 hours a week in some other job and then come home and try and stay awake while he writes his stories. So maybe he wasn't referring to himself. I'm not sure. But anyways, if someone in my position, someone who does work like that from home, contract work, gets a bit of spare time for things, that you're more likely to be able to focus on these things. But there's a huge learning curve as well. And well, it's like anything. You do anything over and over again because you love it, you will get better at it. You're back.
I am back. Just with a bit of
I was just saying it's easier. I was saying it's slightly easier for someone like me who's a contract worker working from home to work on random stuff like this, like to throw it in the mix of other things you're doing, like working online and stuff. It's harder for someone who has to go and work 9 to 5, much harder. And then
I work from home most of the time. I am required elsewhere at least once a week.
Right.
But I do get a bit of working from home time, which is nice. And yes, if you manage to get a quiet couple of hours at work, you can maybe do something like this. But there's always the chance that someone's just going to call you and throw you off.
Some son of a bitch that knows nothing about gnomes or anything worthwhile.
No, someone trying to get me to do like actual work while I'm on the clock.
Actual work. What a joke that is.
Yes.
Almost all actual work is a waste of time, especially these days in clown world. Really, you just like make work or some pointless, stupid thing. Unless you're like something really objectively needed, like a EMT, or I don't know, a fireman or something. I don't know.
No, absolutely. We have tons of make-believe jobs at the place I work. I'll not give too much away, obviously, but
no,
there's stuff I like. I see what they're doing, and they're like sort of like put together a newsletter or something about what's happening in the company. You know what I mean? And like,
yeah, I know.
They're like the communications team or something. So like, that's what they do. That's what they're employed to fucking do. Like,
there's so much of that internal time wasting stuff in all corporations now. Yeah, so much.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
And it'll be the newsletter will be shitty. It'll be pointless. Everyone like that's just the actual thing they'll make, the newsletter or the whatever it is. It'll be like absolutely pointless and shitty and just a waste of time. Or they'll hire some outside company to change the shade of green in their logo, and they'll pay like a million fucking euros or something for that, and it'd be like, what? Like,
I've got to wonder whether that's like money laundering sometimes. Like
I think they really are that stupid. I think
that you go through, and it's just like, that's crap.
I think they're that stupid. I think they've lost, especially this applies to everything I'm always whining about. They're so far away from having any kind of visual acumen or understanding of design and art. And it's just like a world that they feel like I must hire somebody to tell me that my logo must be improved by changing the shade slightly, and then we'll obviously be perfect and in line with, I'll spend any amount of money needed to feel that I've done this trendy thing and paid this person. And generally speaking, they just have no concept of how basic and simple design and the whole world of art is just apart from their brain so entirely that they just leave it to somebody else and they'll pay any price demanded of them. I think this is what I think.
Yep. You might be right there. Yeah. You might be right. But yes, there's also this massive trend of simplification in logos and just everything, really, as I'm sure you're aware, like the modernization of buildings and everything of architecture, which we won't go into because it's its whole own thing. And you even wrote a book on the decline of Western art, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nuts to me. Like I've worked in companies and stuff before that have paid millions for like a rebrand, and it's like you took the old logo that had a bit of like bells and whistles on it, and just removed the bells and whistles, so it's like
it's always like a simplification
triangle off to the side, and it's like, bam, there you go.
Millions,
literally millions. More like Arial.
Yeah.
Or some shit, you know what I mean? Whereas
you're right though.
Flourish isn't in anymore, you know what I mean? Just square, triangle, Times New Roman, name of the company.
It's always a simplification. Every new step is more simplified, and everything becomes sort of infantilized and just more basic. Primary colors. It's like we're slowly entering into a permanent kindergarten for everybody. Like it feels like that.
I don't know how nobody's cottoned onto this yet. You know what I mean? I would like, if you're trying to make a brand, like a high street brand or even a bank or some shit that stands out, and have it in like heavy Gothic font with fucking castles on it and shit. Put a bat on there, like why not? You know what I mean? Like just go absolutely nuts with it. It would be like, wow, like what's that? I've got to know what that is. Even if I don't care about what the shop is selling, I'm like, huh? Wow.
Well, people like us would. I'm not so sure. The average person, I guess, thinks or wants this slow infantilization. Maybe you're right. Maybe not. I don't know.
That whatever's targeted at the majority of people is not targeted at me, as I'm sure you.
But it's universal, though. It's universal across all these corporations. You've experienced the same thing. You knew exactly what I meant right away when I mentioned it. Like it is like a mass based on the sort of foundational value system that everyone's working on. The average person. I guess. I don't know. Maybe they would. Obviously, there would be a demand of a certain type for a bank that has a logo with castles and bats. And it would be good.
Transylvanian Building Society, that one, yeah. Cool, man.
The Transylvanian Credit Union or something, yeah.
Yes. But we do have to live in a gay world that has credit unions, but like they could at least be cool, you know, like
in a gay world with credit unions. What's wrong with credit unions? Aren't they better than big international banks at some level? No?
Yes, probably, yeah.
What we need is Sharia banking.
Yes, that'd be great.
Interest-free banking.
Usury,
illegal usury. Yeah, no usury. None of that fractional. What do they call it?
Fractional reserve banking.
Yeah, fractional reserve, where they're making money off money and all that. Yeah. I'm all for a bit of Sharia banking, to be honest.
Yes, would do us pretty well.
But how did we get onto that topic? Jesus, what I had some other points I thought about mythology.
Logos being gay and crap, but yes, what else?
Logos in corporate world. That's it.
Yeah.
But so everybody's trapped in that corporate world. They know what we're talking about. Anybody who's not one of those people, who doesn't know, understand. I'll give you a little anecdotal story from one of the last times I had to. Sometimes, like yourself, I have to go into a job and be there in person. I remember going to this large office, and it was the top floor of this building, and then across the way on this building, there was barbed wire on the you could see through. Everyone could see through the windows. There was a building across the way with barbed wire on it, and some seagull got trapped in the barbed wire.
Oh man!
And was like flapping around and struggling. And that's terrible, whatever, gruesome. But like everybody on this fucking floor of this building basically was like just about in tears, weeping, and lamenting and tearing out their hair. And it was just such a scene of signaling their compassion for animals or something. That it just made me sick. I was like, oh, you fucking, until eventually some guy went down and up the other building and freed the seagull. And that's nice. It was good. I feel for these animals or whatever. but still the scene was so over the top.
Oh,
And I remember some of us were just like, you know, and it's fine, but like it's a fucking seagull. There's no need to like literally start crying and like carrying on. Like,
yeah, you got to be a little callous sometimes. When you see a pigeon with like a broken leg or something, or a broken wing, you're like, what can I do really? Like,
we could kill it.
Basically,
and put it out of
yeah.
its misery. That's one of the like. Ever
Well,
see a pigeon get run over by a car or a bus? I saw one recently.
oh,
Actually, it exploded. It goes pop, like boom.
I've seen a pigeon get eaten by seagulls in Newcastle. The
No,
seagulls there
really?
are absolutely brutal, but yeah. The
Seagulls?
little known fact: I did actually work in a vet's when I was younger. I used to want to be a vet.
Oh my god, really?
Yes, I was studying for it and things, but I just got swayed. Didn't really want to be one anymore, and didn't get
Why?
in fundamentally. I think
Was it too sad? Too sad with all the puppy dogs
well,
dying and stuff?
there's a high rate of suicide in veterinary and stuff, but like, yeah, I think the job isn't as glamorous or cool as some people might seem. Like, you'll spend the majority of your time like neutering dogs and putting down like people's
Right.
pets, because that's the majority of what a vet does is spaying and sort of putting
Oh my
things out.
god.
So it was depressing, and I also got like really into maths and physics when I was doing it. So I went and studied something more along those lines instead. But yeah, for a while as a teenager, I was like working in a vet as like an assistant kind of guy.
I never realized that. So they
So
have high
much.
suicide rate because they're continually putting down dogs and
Well, yeah,
neutering cats.
all you do is, obviously it's people's pets. Someone's owned a dog for like 15 years, and then you come in and you put it down, and they're just weeping. That's your
Well,
job.
it's
You
hard.
know what I mean? Like, one guy goes out, and the next one comes in. You put his dog down, and he starts weeping. You know what I mean? That's a day being a vet.
It is harsh. I remember doing that with one of our
Horrible.
dogs. Yes, I'd bring her in and she was
Yeah.
put down, and it's like,
Yes, it's the worst
But I
thing in the
mean,
world.
well, it's not the worst thing in the world actually, because it's worse when they. Because one of the other, well, no, actually, we did that with both of our dogs. But like, there's the worst things. Like the last one was suffering so badly. She was so old. All her internal organs were like liquefying. She was utterly fucked. Like it was actually. There's worse things than dying. Absolutely.
Definitely,
Is
but
this
not.
like when you're suffering really badly? I mean, thank God an animal has that option. Like humans don't generally
Yeah, you don't really.
have
Yeah.
that
But
option. They get the
the
same
reason
fucking
I
thing.
didn't mean to be so morbid, but the reason I brought it up was sometimes people bring in pigeons and like random fucking wildlife that they've found that
And
has a
what?
broken wing or something, or it's on death's door, and they
Yeah.
bring it into the vets and just like, can you do anything with it? I'm sorry, I just couldn't leave it at the side of the road. Just fair enough. You're like, fine, but
What do they do? Kill them?
well, veterinary treatment costs thousands of pounds, and it's a fucking pigeon with a broken wing. Like, when we ain't fixing the wing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, I got shown into the freezer at the back. Sorry, this is morbid for a Toadstool stream. This cover your ears if you don't like horror. There's a freezer at
Okay.
the back where they would keep like things that are on their way to the crematorium, let's just say, and they had like a bag which they would call a mix-up bag, which is like what you get sweets in, like a 50p mix-up.
Jesus.
So like, I just put it in the mix-up bag, and I'm like, sorry, the what?
What?
The
While
mix,
it's alive?
showing it, and
Still alive?
fucking hell, it's just literally like pigeons and hedgehogs like legs in this bag, like. You know what I mean? Like, good God. So yes, that's what happens to random seagulls and things.
Holy shit.
Yes, you have
That's
to do
crazy.
it. Yeah,
That is insane.
working in a vet and do it like.
That is harsh for a Toadstool stream.
It is harsh, yeah. You never know what you get when you're on stream, do you?
Mix up bag. Holy shit.
Yeah,
That's
man.
crazy.
That's the vets. Like, you go to a vet, like that's how morbid they are behind the scenes. But I think doctors and stuff have very morbid humor as well, don't they? I think you just kind of have to, as like a
So what do they
defense.
do with the mix up? What do they do with the mix up bag? They cremate them or
Yeah.
bury them? Or?
Yeah. No one's paying for the land to bury them.
No one's paying for the land to bury.
No.
Well, I buried our dogs.
At least in England.
It is, yeah. Well, cremating's not free either. I mean, that's a big kind of energy expense. But I guess there's no easy way to deal with such a thing. What did they do in the past? Like, I guess everything would have to be buried. You'd always bury something. Or throw it on a fire, I guess. Like the Hindus bury their, burn their people.
We saw a dead pigeon. You probably threw it in the fucking river back in the day. Like,
you're right that seagulls can be savage and huge. I've seen many. Like I remember once in Vancouver seeing a seagull. It was like a pterodactyl. It was so fucking big, and it was like fighting a homeless guy in this alleyway. It was like some fucking cracked out hobo. And I went into this alley, and he was literally fighting. It would look like he was fighting for his life against a seagull. It was so fucking big. It was like honestly, it was. What could I compare it to? It was like the size of a dog. Like it was like not like the wingspan. If you include the wingspan, it was the size of. I don't know what the fuck. It was huge.
I don't know whether they must have been that size all along, I guess. But like I seem to see
Well,
bigger.
they vary. They vary, but they get it to an extreme size sometimes.
Yeah, they're like tall and like barrel chested to the point where like yes, they look bigger and harder than your average like terrier or something.
And
They're
they're
really
sons of bitches. They are sons of bitches.
yeah.
Like they're like the cockroach. That's the kind of animal that's going to like make it into the future. They're
Yes.
high breeding, savage cocksuckers, flying around, scavenging, killing everybody. They're going to be
fairly infamous in Newcastle, where I'm from, because it's kind of coastal, so we get a lot of them.
Is that where that guy like is famous? Like the seagull stole his chip and he punched it or killed it in front of those kids or whatever.
Oh,
I think that was some northern. Remember that?
It does sound like the north. That's definitely a northern thing. I don't know whether it was Newcastle or not, but it was definitely us. Like yeah, for sure.
Does sound like north. You stole my chip.
Yes. Yes,
You know
right
what's
in front
funny
of
is-
loads of children as well, and you're dragging it around by the fucking legs, like just bashing it off a wall. That are just absolutely psychotic. For a chip as well. They're not very
and
expensive.
he didn't even look. He wasn't like some chav or anything. He was just like some regular looking old guy. He just had enough.
Oh, yeah.
He's fed up.
Just yeah. But Baza from down the pub has had enough with these seagulls.
You know what's funny about you today? I don't know if it's part of the beard, but have you grown a goatee or like a mustache or something? Is that
I do have facial hair, yes, as you can see.
facial hair? Right. That's it. That's what you don't have normally. At first, I thought it was like some bizarre leftover glue from gluing on the beard, like hanging off your face. But
No.
it
I'll
just
have to
looks
improve
like
the beard at one time, but no, right now I just have like sort of mustache poking through it and stuff. But
that's all right. Then. Oh well.
We live.
Yeah.
It's
There we go.
commitment.
Yeah. Yes, it looks nice. But yeah. What do you think? How long we talked?
We've talked for an hour. We can
We call it quits. We
talk more about bizarre vibes and
promote
stuff.
the magazine one last time. Promote the mag one last time, and I'll put all the links in it when I put it up, and then we'll call it a day because I should go.
Yes,
Probably.
lovely. You can.
That's Toadstool magazine.
Full
There
color
it is.
A4, lovely bound, lovely binding on this one. Best printing so far. No errors that I can see inside it. No staples. Lovely. But no, it's fantastic. We have lots of stories in here, lots of poems, beautiful art all the way through. Very funny, very whimsical. Some darker moments, but nothing too dark. You know, you could definitely read these stories to your kids.
Not the bag of dying animals dark.
No, not the black dying animals. No. Who that would be psychotic. But yes, Dave Martell enjoys reading those squirrel stories to his kids. He was telling me the other day, which is heartwarming. That's the kind of thing that makes it worth it. Check out the other issues too. I haven't promoted the other ones in a little while, but we have some fantastic stuff in the first 3 issues. They are on sale basically as long as stocks last, because I'm printing these and selling them. I'm not doing print on demand, so while I have stock of the old ones that have all of the old website links in them and stuff, they are cheap. If you haven't got one before, just go and buy them. They probably won't be that cheap again.
Yeah. Cuthbertson operates outside of Amazon. Remember that. He's on his own. He's printing them himself. So
yes,
you got to order from him. So do it. You can read it to your kids, or you can read it to yourself.
Yeah, that's something for everybody. I think definitely. I think because there are guys who are writing it. We have like we're kind of wordy sometimes, kind of verbose, kind of got like big vocabularies. You know what I mean? We write other stories, so like these aren't like sort of sixth grade
mainstream
reading level stories. You know what I mean? But like these are. You can definitely read them to your kids, or you could give them to your kids if they wanted slightly more of a challenge than their usual school books.
Yeah, our guys are proper writers. They're not this like it's kind of mainstream writers are going to get now. You're not. It'll be good. It'll actually be good.
Yes, these are good. I think a lot of the feedback I get is from adults who greatly enjoy reading these stories. To be honest, so yes, it's not just for children, but it isn't just for adults either.
Yeah.
Yes, in the past I did publish stuff by children. I had a section called Little Gnomes, where somebody had got in touch and just said, "Listen, my kids want to submit something. Can they?" And I was like, "Yes." So in future, I didn't have any for this issue, but in future, if anybody's children do want to like draw like a painting, like draw or paint or write a poem or maybe even a little story or something, there's a chance I'll publish it and submit it to the address. I think my email is madcap@toadstool-magazine.com. This is where to get in contact with me for, I don't know, queries, submissions. You want to submit a story, submit it there. If you want to ask where your magazine is after you bought it, submit it there. We have some merch too. Now we have a mug with some squirrels on it. which is very nice. We have a vest for lifting weights, because everybody should lift weights, which has a muscly gnome on it. You would like that. You will look cool in the gym wearing this. Nobody else will have this in the gym, I guarantee it.
Yeah, I should get that one. I should get that one.
Yes, and we're selling posters of the gnome pill art that Brendan himself drew, because it's a very popular piece of art and everybody loved it. So you can buy a poster of that if you want.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad. All right. Excellent. Yeah, take the gnome pill.
Yes, take the gnome pill. Absolutely.
That's it. Yeah. Toadstool magazine. And for now, we are going to go. I never know how to shut these down. Whenever it's time to stop, I'm just like, okay, bye-bye. Like, and I just
say
like,
cheers.
I launch out of it like a rocket.
Yes, if you're drinking on a Saturday afternoon too, cheers. If you're not, that's probably
that's
very
a full
healthy.
glass of vodka. Holy shit, you're going to be wasted before the evening. All right. Goodbye.
Mostly lemonade. Goodbye.
Oh, shit.